Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tall John, Cyborg John here. People in my local scene at Wednesday Night Fights call me by both those names. So thanks for joining me. I'm doing an Eddy tutorial, so let's get into it. First, I'm going to kind of go over the structure, I guess, of stuff I'm going to talk about. First, I'll just talk about general strategy with Eddy. Then I will talk about what his strengths are. And of course, all this is anecdotal and just kind of my own experience as an Eddy player. And then I'll go over what his weaknesses are. And then I'll go over his top moves and some noteworthy moves that I would say are not his top moves that I try to use all the time or that you see Eddy players use all the time, but they're moves that you'll see with less consistency and less frequency, but you will see them. And then sort of what his strong mix-ups in handstand and relax are, some punishers, and maybe what Eddy needs. Yeah, and what I expected, what I was kind of hoping for Eddy for Season 3. So let's get started. So let's start with Eddy's strengths. First, I'll list them off. In my opinion, Eddy's strengths are his backdash, his stances, his pokes, his strong 50-50 game, and his punishers. Now, Eddy's backdash, if you've seen people using Eddy, you see how fast and how much ground it covers. It's really good backdash. So that's one of the main tools that you'll be using to evade with Eddy, since his sidewalk is non-existent. He does have a sidewalk technically. This is it right here. So because he doesn't have a traditional sidewalk and the one he has is not evasive, most of the time he'll be spacing and keeping distance with the backdash. And his stances are one of his strengths because both of his stances have a lot of very high damage offensive options out of them. So both of his stances are really good for that reason. They both have a lot of options out of it, cover a lot of options, and a lot of them are high damage options for combo. So that's why his stances are really good. His pokes are good. He has long range pokes, a lot of low options. Sidestep 4 is safe, it leaves you a lot of plus, leaves Eddy standing, and so it gives you a good opportunity to mix up, a free mix-up opportunity. You'll find yourself using down 4 for a low poke, which tech crouches, but it is punishable on block. Down forward 4 has huge distance, and it's very hard to sidewalk. It tracks well, so you'll find yourself using that a lot. Yeah, the down forward 1-1, that's plus 5 on, I think, either one of these hits. The second hit's high, so you won't be using it that often. Down forward 2, minus 6, I believe, or minus 8, maybe. Either way, on hit, you get a free low poke, or if you're fast, you get a free, instant while standing 3 like that. Or on a counter hit, it does you know what. So his pokes are pretty good. And then his 50-50 game is very strong, because once you get into relax or get into handstand in an opponent's face, they freeze. They definitely do something. They'll do it. The opponent will do whatever they're trained to do, which, 80% of the time it will be freeze, and the freeze to give you the option to either do the low move or the mid move, depending on whether they freeze and block low or freeze and stand there. Or it's going to make your opponent do a jump kick or something like that. Which, those opponents, most of that stuff is when somebody knows what to do against this stuff, they're going to float Eddy out of all this stuff for the most part. And you'll have to use it very sparingly. But his 50-50 is very good strength. His punishers, they're good. Yeah, they gave him this 14-frame punisher. Pretty good damage on that, and it wall splats. They made this 15 frames in Tekken 7, or maybe, I don't know, maybe even earlier, but it's 15 frames, and it covers a very far distance for the most part. Then he has this as a launcher, very far distance. Now this can actually punish stuff that a lot of other moves cannot. I think it's 17 or 18 frames, but it can punish stuff that leaves you at too far of a distance for other punishers that other characters won't be able to launch. I'm not sure if it works on Heihachi's forward 2, but that's the type of situation when this launcher will come in handy. I know there's a move with Julia that Julia does that is normally not punishable at all, but Eddy can punish it with this launcher. So he has decent punishers, and with the addition of his new 12-frame punisher, I guess they're okay. And what makes his punishers on the strengths list are his while standing punishers. He has a 13-frame while standing punisher, a 15-frame punisher, and he has the while standing 3. So the combination of all of those with the standing punishment makes his punishers pretty good. So let's go through his weaknesses. His weaknesses are combo damage. So combo damage is really bad with Eddy. blocks. He gets 75 of this combo, if I can do it. No, we can't do it. Okay, 75 if you do this one is the launcher. Off any of his sweeps, he gets about 55 or so damage. Oh wait, that's a good option. Oh, 58 if you do that. That's his most damaging combo variation, is while standing 4 into while standing into instant while standing 3. So when you get the opportunity to do that variation of the combo, do that. But yeah, he doesn't get that much combo off that stuff, so his combo damage is kind of low. His big launchers only do 20 points of damage, so they're not too good. Or less than that, 16 and 18. So his combo damage is a little bit low. He has no sidewalk, so his sidestep is a weakness. He has no traditional sidewalk for evasion. He's a very high-risk character as a weakness, and that's because you guys know if your 50-50 gets blocked, then you get punished heavily. And because he's a heavy 50-50 character, it also makes him a very high-risk character to do what he needs to do. So his 50-50s, if they're not going the right way, then it will be very high risk and you'll get punished a lot. And the reality of it is when you're at kind of playing at a higher level and your opponent knows what to do against Eddy, they're going to kind of float you like most of the time. They're going to know what to do. There's so many options to evade Eddy's relax mix-up like this one. Your opponent can either backdash to evade the low or the mid option. They can jump over you, which will avoid all the low options and they'll be behind you. They can, and if you do a mid option while they're mid-air, you're not going to get to float them, you're just going to get one single hit and you're not going to get a combo on that. Unless you commit to, 4. That's the only way you'll get a combo if you hit somebody out of the mid-air and relax. So, they can just jump and that's very low risk for them. Or they can do a micro parry like that. They can try to option select you a micro parry block mid, which is what you're supposed to do, I believe, for that option. If you're in relax in front of somebody and you're threatening them with either slippery kicks or the mid launcher, they're going to be trying to do that. They're going to be trying to option select you by micro parrying and then blocking. So there's so many different ways. Or they can just straight up just watch you and just try to visually block the lower mid. So there's so many strategies to avoid relax. And not to mention, it's not even getting into the moves that characters have, so when an opponent knows what to do, they're going to have that move locked and loaded, and they're going to hit you with it immediately. So there's so many ways to avoid relax and handstand. You have to use those very sparingly, and they're high risk. Another weakness is Eddy's high risk on getting in. He doesn't have sidewalk, so he can't do the traditional thing a lot of characters can do, which is a quick high into sidewalk, evade stuff. He can't. That's not an option. You can't even dash from sidewalk. So you're kind of going to be manually dashing in on people, or you're going to be committing to a move to get in. Either this, 4-4-3, maybe this, safe, on block, sidestep 3, crouch, full crouch, 1+2, or the running slide. You'll have to commit to these kind of risky, not so fast moves to get in on people. So it's not really a great situation. You can't just run up 1-2 and dash or sidestep. His while standing game is very difficult. On the surface, it seems like, oh, Eddy has the while standing 1-3 launcher. It's very high. It's 13 frames and it's very high damage. It's great, but it's going to whiff on a lot of stuff. It whiffs when people are too far away and you block something low, and it whiffs when you just block something low and the opponent is too low profile. So it whiffs in a lot of situations. And if it does whiff, the opponent will recover, block the second kick of it, and then they don't get a launcher, but they get a full combo and float on you. So this is a move that you have to use situationally, and you basically have to know what moves you can punish with it, basically. Yeah, you have to know the specific moves with every character in the game, and you kind of have to know when you can use this move effectively, because you definitely don't want to get caught using that move with uncertainty. And then combined with his 15 frame, guaranteed launcher, and then his, this while standing launcher, you just have to kind of go through every character's move list and understand which one of these you have to use to punish, what. Otherwise, you'll be missing some, or you'll be getting punished yourself. So his hard while standing game to master is kind of one of his weaknesses. You can't just do a, 15 or a, while standing 2 it's just going to like punish everything. You know, it's not that fast, and it's not 14 frames or anything like that, and you know, it doesn't cover all situations. So it's very situational. Tracking. Eddy doesn't really have a good tracking move. He has 4-4-2, which requires, you know, some input, so you can't do it super fast. He has 3-4, which is slow and pretty short distance. And then he has Relax 4, but you have to be in Relax. So all these are not really very fast. They're not like Paul's back 1 or like Lars back 1 or back 2 or whatever that is. These are, or, you know, like a lot of characters like Fang's Kick or some other characters, they have tracking moves that are a little bit slower, but they have like really big sweeping distance. Eddy's tracking moves, I find, are not that good, except for this one. It has good distance, not too punishable, but you have to be in Relax to do this one. So it'd be nice if he had like a really fast one like Paul has, like a good tracking move. And then his transitions. His last weakness are his transitions. When Eddy transitions into his stances, he doesn't have a lot of options, defensive options to go into other stances or, you know, sidestep or do a lot of stuff like say Lei or Xiaoyu. When Lei goes into a stance, he can like sidestep up or down into another stance. So, you know, he has or he has auto parry built into the stances that people like to use with Lei. Like he has like some options, a lot of defensive options. Like characters like Xiaoyu, she can be in back turn or something like that, and then go into AOP and it'll turn her around automatically. Like she kind of has good options in that. Yeah, some characters just have better options for their transitions when they get into stances, defensive options. Eddy doesn't really have any. All he has is kind of like, you know, the sidestep, which is very weak. That's not going to really sidestep much, although that's what it's built for, you know. He has this, sidestep out of Relax as well, but that's not going to be too evasive. Slight backsway in forward 3+4, so, but, you know, you're going to have to use that at the right moment. So he doesn't really have a lot of good options. Handstand, he has the Power Crush move, but if they block that, I think it's -13. Yeah, so that's not really going to be a good option all the time to just like pour that out. You know? So his defensive options out of his transitions don't really seem the greatest, and I think that's kind of one of his weaknesses, is that you can't, you know, do too much with that once your opponent knows exactly like what the transitions are going to do, and you can't do them raw with Eddy. Like after certain moves, you don't really have too many options. You're just going to either go into Relax, be vulnerable for a second, or go into Handstand, be vulnerable for a second. Yeah, so that was a long list of weaknesses. So those are his strengths and his weaknesses. And now to get into his top moves, we'll go through those real quick. 1-2, that's his 10-frame jab. But the cool thing about 1-2 is that he's swinging his arms sideways, so it has tracking to both sides. People will have a little bit more trouble sidestepping this. So 1-2 is really good. +8 or +5 or something on block or on hit, so it leads to a good mix-up afterwards. It's definitely +5 when the 2 hits. I think it might be +8 when the 1 hits. Let's see, down forward 1-1 on hit for the first one, that's +6. If the 1 hits, that's +8. So big frame advantage on that for a good mix-up. The second hit's high, so you can't do that all the time. Down forward 2, that's -8 on block, so it's a safe counter hit launcher. You get a free hit when they fall back like that. A free low kick, or if you're really fast. Well, if you're really fast, you get a dash and quarter circle forward 3. I guess I can't do it. Yeah. And then, of course, on counter hit, it is a launcher. And then down back 1+2, that's his backsway launcher. It is -7 on hit, or on block, so it's safe. So you'll want to try to incorporate that as one of the top moves. And again, these are like the top moves that I do. You'll see a lot of Eddy players doing these as well. Down 4, or sidestep 4, that gives you a lot of plus frames, leaves Eddy standing, so it gives you a free mix-up on hit. And you can transition into handstand afterwards, or you can go into his handspring option. So there are a couple options out of it that make that a really good low. When you combine that stuff on top of it, it gives you good frame advantage on hit. But you won't be only using that low. You'll also find yourself using this tech crouching low. It's definitely punishable on block, but it tech crouches and it's really fast. So you'll find yourself using that to round out his low pokes, and you'll find yourself using down forward 4. This is very long range low, you can see, and it has really good tracking. And on counter hit, it gives you a good combo follow-up hit. So it's pretty good. Quarter circle forward 3. If you're an Eddy player, it's kind of like if you're a Brian player, you have to, even though you won't use this all the time, you have to learn the input for these instant while standing motions. Very important. Super long range Punisher, super long range launcher. Like it's 17 or 18 frames, I think, so it's not the fastest, but you'll need to use this in the situations. You'll want to have this locked and loaded for the situations that you need it in. Back 3-3, counter hit launcher, counter hit confirm launcher. So it's very punishable if they block the second kick of it, but it's counter hit confirmable. So they can do, you can do the first kick, and then once you see that they press the button and it's counter hit, then you can go ahead and let the other one rip. Even when you delay it that long, it still hits, so it's good. The trick to counter hit confirming this, it's tricky because there's no spark on counter hit. So the way to counter hit confirm it, when you decide to throw this out, look at your opponent's arms and legs. So I'm pressing back 3 and I'm looking at my opponent, and if you see your opponent had thrown a button and his arms or legs had moved and he threw something, then you know to press the other 3. So this one, the key is not looking for the spark, but looking for your opponent motion when you're doing this. So look and see if your opponent had any motion when you're trying to counter hit confirm this. And then standing 4, it's 12 frames. You'll find yourself using this one a lot too. I mean, he has a lot of other moves, and some other noteworthy ones are full crouch, 1+2, 1+2, this wall splats. At the end of this string, when people's backs are to the wall, just try it if you're an Eddy player. I can almost guarantee it'll work once or twice. It's one of those things that works the first time, guaranteed. Back 1+2, it's not quite as evasive as down back 1+2, so you won't be using it quite as much. And it only evades horizontally too, or it only evades vertically. So a lot of stuff that kind of goes horizontally will hit you, so it doesn't evade as much stuff. You won't be using it quite as often, but it's still a very useful move. You get I don't know if you get anything guaranteed, actually. I mean, I get stuff most of the time guaranteed, but I think that's just because my opponents are like sitting there, not doing anything. Yeah, I don't know if you get anything guaranteed, but it leaves you in a good mix-up because your opponent's getting up as you're already running at them, so you'll get some kind of a little mix-up on that. Forward 1-2, that's 12 frames, and it covers a little distance, more than just 1-2. And he's kind of flailing his arms like side to side, so it's a good move to sort of like draw your opponent in if you find they're like at that sort of like 1 or 2 range and they're like sidestepping a lot, kind of like try to suck them in with a well-placed forward 1-2. The extension is -14, I believe, so you don't want to really do the kick. Full crouch 4, full crouch down forward 4. Try to do that sometimes. That's a really good one. Leaves you plus frames on hit, so you get a free mix-up there. What I do, and it works like 97% of the time, is just a full crouch down forward 2, instant while standing, and then back into another full crouch down forward 2. Back 2-4, that's 14 frames. Punishes in a lot of situations that Eddy couldn't punish in before, and the wall splats, but the second hit is high, so you don't want to do it, in the raw or out in the open. You just want to use it when it's good to use it. And this 2, it hits low. It'll hit people trying to like roll around on the ground if you're close to them, so it's a very low hitting move. So the 2 is actually pretty good to use sometimes just by itself. Back 1-4, or back 1-4-3, 3+4. Very high damaging string. Nothing guaranteed on it anymore, but it's just another good. It's something that you'd want to use because on hit it leaves you with a guaranteed mix-up. Of either like 4 or 3+4 or something. Because if you do this on hit and you do 4, they can't interrupt that, so it'll leave you like some kind of mix-up. And a lot of the times you just throw this out there because people like to press buttons, like strings. You guys know how Tekken 7 is. Sometimes strings, 3 or 4 hit strings will hit. Down back 3-4. That's a very high damaging low. Little wall splat if they're on the side. It's one of his classic moves from Tekken 3. Natural combo. So try to incorporate that. It's just tricky and damaging, and it leaves you a plus frames, so it'll throw your opponent off. The good moves that you'll do out of handstand to kind of set up all of his mix-ups at a handstand are the big Class A launcher, down 3+4. His throw, very high damaging, unbreakable throw. And then back 3 is this like really fast move that on a counter hit now it leads to an extra follow-up hit, so that's pretty good. Oh, I was on the side, I think. Now I'm throwing it. Yeah, so it leads to a free follow-up hit now, and on normal hit it's like +3 or something, I think. So plus frames on hit or counter hit. Punishable though if it gets blocked. But yeah, at least plus frame, so it gives you another free mix-up right afterwards, which sometimes I'll just do it like twice in a row. Like, you'll be using that one, that's like fast slow, but it'll take him back into relax. 4, that's his fastest move out of handstand, I believe, so it's mid, his mid option. It's only -6, so you'll find yourself using that a lot. Leads to a good mix-up where you do power crush afterwards, and it'll go through a lot of your opponent's options that they were going to use on you. And let's see, I think that's it. Oh, 2, that's his safe way to get out of handstand. It's only -2 mid, so if you want to just get out of handstand, back to standing, that's the button you press. And down 3 is the tricky thing to do. You'll find yourself doing that because on counter hit, that gives you a free follow-up hit as well. So this counter hit bait from handstand would be back 3 and down 3. Even though I'm pressing, you know, down 4. Yeah, you can press either button. So that will take you in, it's mid and it will take you into relax as well. But then, you know, if your opponent is expecting this stuff, they'll be able to float you if they block it. So you got to use this stuff in very situationally, sparingly. Then once you're in relax, he has his 2 big launchers, so I won't even go over those. Slippery kicks in the mid one. That's going to be the basis of the mix-ups. Then he has 2, which is -6 or -5, and that's another way to just get to standing, mid punch, to get you back to your feet. Forward 3 plus 4. This is going to set your opponent up to not press anything. So backspace a little bit, it's very fast, and so you'll do stuff and go immediately into handspring, it'll hit your opponent. This is kind of how you condition them to not press anything when you're in relax. And then you can kind of like go into other relaxed mix-ups. It's pretty good, -12 I think if you're point blank, but at different distances it can be as good as like -2. So that's a really good one. Relax 4, -13, not many people can punish it because of the pushback on block. But like Fang can punish that with Iron Mountain, and people can punish that. It's just hard. And since it spins them, it'll wall splat them if their back is to the wall. So this is a pretty good one. Homing move. And then his other one, I would say, is forward 1 plus 2. It takes you from relax just up into handstand, and then you can do that. That's a very fast sequence right there. If you're in relax and you're close to an opponent, they're in an okie situation, they're kind of like, you know, getting up or doing something, especially if their back is to the wall, just do that. Try an instant handstand 4. And then whatever you want to follow it up, because a lot of times that will hit them and beat their options. Hit them a little more consistently than if you were to stay and relax and like try some other option. Yeah, those are kind of like all of his things that I like to do out of relax and handstand. I guess we can talk about punishers really quick. 10 frame punisher, 1, 2. 11 frame, nothing. 12 frames, he has 1 plus 2. He kind of backs up a little bit, so I wouldn't really use that. It might not hit too consistently. You saw one hit just miss right there. Forward 2, 3, 12 frames. I feel like 50% of the time people will be able to flow you out of this, even if it hits. So I don't know how much I'll use that, but it's a 12 frame punisher, so that's good. Then 4 is 12 frames too, so that's good. 13 frames, he has down 4, 1, 1, so you'll want to be using that sometimes. And then 14 frames, you'll use back 2, 4. I think back 1 also, if you're like point blank, that'll be 14, but it doesn't yield anything guaranteed. So you'll use back 2, 4, wall splats. 15 frames, he has down forward 2, free guaranteed kick afterwards. And what other one? He has another 50 frames. Down forward 3 plus 4, they buff that. So you'll basically be using that one for 15. Yeah, that's it. That's I think Eddy in a nutshell for me, how I kind of play him. And he has other stuff too. I use this a lot, wall bounce. He's airborne for 2 or 3 frames in the middle of that. I use this a lot too, actually. But those moves aren't necessarily good though. The 1 plus 1, 2 handstand. That's always a good option. If you go into handstand and immediately go into pancake press, 3 plus 4, that will work as a good setup to get people a lot of the time. But yeah, that's kind of how I play Eddy and my take on him. Like, the things that I wish Eddy would have gotten in Season 3 were higher combo damage, either with harder hitting moves, different sequences, or better floating ability. Like, it would have been, like, to round out Eddy's combos, he could really use an ability, like a move at the end of a combo, kind of like Jin's kick that he does at the end of combos now. Something that floats them, that can float somebody at the end of a combo a little better. So I was hoping for more combo damage in either of those forms. Eddy can, I was hoping for a faster jump kick, to be honest. It doesn't have to be a comboing jump kick, but just something that will leave the ground instantly and hit within 15 frames, and then maybe get like a follow-up kick afterwards. Just something that can kind of crush, like a crushing jump kick, basically. It would have been nice if he can get like a more consistent while standing 1-3. That would be nice, either by making it mid or whatever. I don't know if that'd be too OP though. More transitions. I was hoping he would have gotten some transitions. He's had like the same one since like Tekken Tag 1. I don't know. It seems like his transitions are stale. With all the transitions people are getting now, like Lei got all these new stances, new transitions, and Xiao Yu got new abilities. Other characters got new abilities going to back turn raw. Like people are, new stances for certain characters. Like I was just hoping that Eddy got like some new transitions in strings or just something. And then maybe a fast tracking move. That would round Eddy out too. Like a fast tracking move. Or something like that. Yeah, something like Paul's back one. Just something that Eddy can throw out there to kind of control space a little bit when he's up close. And that's it. Yeah, that's my take on Eddy. What I would have liked to have seen and kind of the way I play him. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys later. Oh, watch me on Twitch, FH for Life 1, if you guys are interested in Eddy play. Thanks a lot.